What's going on, guys? Welcome to Dime Dropper for another post-game recap here in this 2021-22 season on a Christmas day. Merry Christmas to all of my Dime Dropper fam, their families, and all you guys. I hope you had a great holiday season, and I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe wherever you may be. We actually had a really good slate of Christmas games today, one of which is still ongoing. But I really had no interest in the Mavericks without Luka Doncic against the Jazz. So it's Lakers, Nets, Warriors, Suns, and then a little bit of Celtics, Bucks for you tonight. Let's start out with the Lakers, Suns. But before we get started, please make sure to subscribe on all platforms at YouTube at Dime Dropper Podcast, Apple Podcast. Follow us on Spotify, and of course, to follow us on all social media platforms at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Dime Dropper Pod. For tonight's episode, it's going to be Lakers Nets. So let's start with that. The Lakers playing against a KD-less Nets team. You'd expect them to come out and hopefully win the game. THT, Dwight Howard, Russell Westbrook, and Wayne Ellington starting alongside LeBron James tonight. Nick Claxton, Bruce Brown, Patty Mills, James Harden, and DeAndre Bembry for the Nets. The Nets playing with a very small lineup. And you know what they're going to do. They're going to run a ton of high screens for James Harden, and you got to be able to know what you're going to do with defending those. When it's Nick Claxton, they're going to have three shooters with at least, or try to space it as three shooters. But it's really like DeAndre Bembry is more of a, like playing kind of like a full role in terms of the dunker spot on offense. So it's really like DeAndre Bembry running baseline, Patty Mills and Bruce Brown on the wings. Even though Bruce Brown's not the best three-point shooter in the world, he's pretty good at driving in for those floaters when he has some space. And, you know, this season he's shooting 32% from three, so not horrendous. And I always said last year, remember when you guys, I haven't watched many Nets games this year, but you guys may remember the Nets were one of our dime dropper teams last year. And I did say that Bruce Brown was one of my favorite players on that team because he really defends and he does the little things. And they needed more players of that nature. And DeAndre Bembry is another one of those players that plays hard defense. And that's one of the reasons why the Nets have a top 5 defensive rating is guys like that. You know, James Johnson's of the world as well. Javon Carter, you know, he's not too great, but he does play defense. He plays hard. James Harden to start the game, though, Laker defense, non-existent. And to me, this is where they lost the game. You get outscored 38-23 in the first quarter. You know, again, the Lakers, we talked about it the other night against San Antonio. They come out with no defensive intensity. Again, 30-plus points for the opposition in the first quarter. And I think that starts with two guys, LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. You cannot rely on THT and Dwight Howard and Wayne Ellington to set your tone on defense. You need to buy in and set that tone. You know, the beginning of the game, James Harden's coming off screens and nobody's getting in front of him. He's just getting line drives to the basket. Look, if you're guarding him and someone sets a screen on you and you're not right around that screen and James Harden gets even an inch, even though he's not superstar James Harden anymore, he's all-star James Harden. And, you know, we've given James Harden a lot of grief this year because his numbers are so down. You know, he's averaging 21, 8, and 9. 9.5 assists, though. That's got to be – he's second in the league, only behind Chris Paul. So he's not having a terrible season. He's still having an all-star season. And if you're on his side, he still is so strong. He can put the shoulder into you and go off the glass and lay it in or create space and draw fouls. So you need to be in front of him. And I thought a couple of times also in the game, whether it was THT or Russell Westbrook, they played him like he was still Houston Harden, just like basically giving him his left hand and giving him his right hand, just showing him one way and letting him go down to the basket and he can make a read. And it's not up to that point where he's going to get by you that you have to do that. I think you should play right in front of him and make him beat you off the dribble because he's not as quick off the dribble anymore. But for the most part, the Lakers still did try to stay in front of him. They didn't just give him lanes the whole night. But at the beginning of the game, it was really poor. They were letting him get wherever he wanted down on pick and rolls. Then they adjusted a little bit, but the rotations were slow. Where there was Nick Claxton coming for a little push shot. Dwight Howard was coming up, LeBron, Ellington, Westbrook. There was no rotation. Again, Westbrook dying on screens again. And it's time we have a dialogue about Westbrook's defense, this season. I've been pretty generous, but overall, I have called out his defense. And I saw it last year in Washington too. Last year was a lot of kind of sagging off his man, waiting for rebounds or getting ready for the passing lanes. Mostly rebounds, though, to be honest. But tonight, I think it was just, again, dying on screens like he has a lot of times this season. I think he actually plays good defense one-on-one when guys try to isolate against him. But when it comes to rotations, when it comes to communication, I see just defensive miscommunications happening for the Lakers. I see guys looking at each other, especially involving Russ after the opposing team scores a basket on the Lakers, and they're looking at each other like, what's going on? And Russell Westbrook, I just thought today he wasn't rotating. LeBron, lazy, not closing out in the beginning of the game. I think it was an open Bruce Brown 3 early, and the Nets just got off to a good start, especially Patty Mills, who was absolutely sniping to start the game, coming off screens. And you know how when he's coming off screens off the ball, you got to step up as the big man or be right behind him, forcing him to running him off that 3-point line because he will fire away. And he's had a great season, and he had another great night tonight. And the Lakers were down 15 after 1. I thought their offense, they let THT try to get going a little bit again tonight, and he had a pretty efficient night, 5 of 11, but he does dribble himself into trouble. He still has tons of vision, and he just pounds the ball too, same as Russ and LeBron. I think Russ just didn't start out well. He was 1 of 5 to start the game, turning the ball over. And it was just a poor start for the Lakers overall. And it really starts with that defense. Carmelo came in, but he can't play defense either. And Malik Monk was back though for the Lakers, and that was huge. I thought it was really good to have him back into the lineup and back into things. They really missed his shot creation, but most importantly, they missed him off the ball. They missed him being a threat off the ball and a guy that you have to close out to and account for. And, I think the Lakers tonight, they tried to push the pace when they got stops. They didn't get many stops. I thought the second quarter, they did a really good job. And I thought LeBron did a really good job in the second quarter of actually having his best off-ball quarter or off-ball half the whole season. He was getting in the post. He was getting deep post position where they were forced to foul, or he was getting the ball underneath. He was getting the ball in mid-post, turning and facing, shooting mid-ranges. And late in the game or late in the half, he was either getting rebounds and pushing the pace or outletting the ball or running the floor. And he got an and one late to cut it down to 2. And it looked like the Lakers were getting back in the game. There was even a play I was really impressed with LeBron. Bruce Brown was fronting him in the post. He pointed for a high-low action. They got the ball to the top. Westbrook had a better angle to throw in the pass, and they got it to him, and he scored. If LeBron had literally does that more often this season, they will be more successful. If he had done that against Phoenix in the playoffs last year, would have been more successful. If he had done things like that against the Mavericks in 2011, he'd be a 5-time champion right now. It's literally that simple. He had Jason Kidd guarding him for most of the series. He really did. That narrative that's been brought up by LeBron apologists that it was like he played zone for the majority of the series isn't true. I rewatched the series. He had Jason Kidd on him most of the time, and he just didn't know how to post up. But tonight, you can clearly see he's come a long way. It's just a matter of when he wants to. And, that besides the fact that Darren Collison, who it's interesting to see him be back in the NBA, but he needs some time. I mean, he hasn't played NBA in years. Clearly also didn't seem to know that the rules have changed for the way you close out on shooters. He fouled James Harden and Patty Mills in the right wing late in that second quarter for 2 consecutive 4-point plays, which got the lead back to, I think, 66-62 at the half in favor of Brooklyn. And then in the third quarter, the Lakers just fell apart. Russell Westbrook continued to miss. LeBron wasn't really as aggressive to start the third quarter. And what's crazy is they had the game tied at 68. They were only down by around 5 points with 7.5 to go. But Russ, in the third quarter, he just continued to miss. He was not finishing well at the basket tonight. He was missing threes. And even DeAndre Bembry started to hit threes. Like he shot some nice floaters and push shots and his solid movement off the ball, but he had some nice floaters. And I remember there was a situation where Harden had a ball on the isolation. And I will say the reason why the Lakers stepped up is because their defense was sharper, both in the second quarter and you'll see it later in the fourth quarter. Carmelo and LeBron's rotations were sharper. It's all about effort. You can see it and it's contagious. And then Russ had some good defensive plays. It was really all about those stretches where the Lakers could lock in on defense and everything changed. They got to push the pace and they got easier shots. I will say, though, there are times that the Lakers don't need to push the pace, and in the half-court set, they'll take really quick shots, or Westbrook will just dart down the court and try to just take on the whole defense, and they can do without those possessions. I think they're best at running when they get stops. Other than that, I don't think they should rush it too much because they're too old, and they're going to get tired throughout the course of a game, especially on defense. So I don't think they need to rush it when they don't need to rush things when it's not necessary. I think when they can get stops, that's when you run. And they were able to do that for stretches of the game, which got them to cut it down. But there was one play, and this put the Nets up 82-76, where the Lakers defended a pick and roll well, hedge recover. It was Westbrook one-on-one against Harden, or Harden one-on-one against Westbrook. LeBron told Melo to load up on the strong side, and LeBron would take Nicky Claxton. But that leaves one person open if you space it out well. Bembry did a great job flashing to the middle, which they had to account for, which left open shooters on the weak side. But Wayne Ellington made the choice of running towards either, I don't remember if it was Brown or Bembry. I think it was Bembry, or Bembry ran to him and left Patty Mills open. And it's just like little lapses in, IQ and stuff like that really hurt. You can't be leaving Patty Mills open when he's wide, when he's having a great shooting night. And things just started to go from bad to worse. Lakers missed a couple open threes. Stanley Johnson, though, I will say, he came into the game, and I thought his effort was really good. I thought that he clearly showed that his length and his effort on the defensive end could become useful down the line for the Lakers. We didn't see Isaiah Thomas play tonight, a change by Coach Fizdale. I think he realized, he can't really defend. If he's not making shots, he's not going to be helping. And I think that Isaiah Thomas is not going to be renewed in his 10-day contract. But the Lakers started turning the ball over late in that third quarter, and when they went to a lineup, it was so bad of, I believe it was Carmelo Anthony at the 5. This was the last 3 minutes and 43 seconds when LeBron went out. Carmelo Anthony at the 5 with Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, Talen Horton-Tucker, and Stanley Johnson. There was no resistance at the rim, no pressure on the ball. It was like a switch everything defense with guys that can't guard. And they were getting everything. Claxton was getting whatever he wanted. Mills, Bembry. I don't even think Harden was in the game during this stretch. And the Nets outscored the Lakers 36-20 and really kind of sealed the game there. The Lakers made a push in the fourth quarter, especially with LeBron. He was just another amazing performance from him offensively. I thought that, again, he played better defense in the fourth along with the rest of the team, including Melo, who was hitting shots in the fourth quarter, and so was Malik Monk. They were starting to hit, but it was just too little too late. And Russell Westbrook, even though they tied the game, Russell Westbrook had some chances. And, not only did he miss some chippies around the rim, but he went for a dunk, when they were down by 3 points. And he tried to go with the left hand. LeBron was open for 3 on the relocation, but it was a tough pass to see in the moment. But Russ, just an interesting play. He went up for the dunk, he missed it, and then they fouled, and the game was over. But it was kind of a stretch. They had to push it to get back into the game. They tied the game at 1:15. Nick Claxton's incredible alley-oop where he basically dunked on LeBron. Look, LeBron rotated. He tried. He got yammed on. That happens. Overall, LeBron had a really solid game. I thought he played better in this game than he did the last two for sure. But I think that the defensive intensity to start games, the second game in a row, the Lakers didn't bring it. And you just can't be doing that, especially with a team like the Nets, who still have a star in James Harden, who still had a pretty decent game. He got to the line so much. 36 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 3 blocks. A triple-double for Harden. He only shot 40%, 10 of 25, but 3 of 8 from 3 and 13 of 17 from the line. He still got to the foul line a lot. But Patty Mills, and we have to talk about late in the game with around 3 minutes left, Russell Westbrook, or even less, I think, losing sight of Patty Mills in that left corner. Inexcusable when you're guarding the hottest guy in the game to be losing sight of him like that. And that's just, tonight's loss is mainly on Russ to me. I think the whole team in the beginning of the game, including LeBron, who his stats will excuse him, I thought he did a better job of not being a ball stopper and holding the ball out to score his points. But his defense, he doesn't set any tone on defense at all. This season, he hasn't really done it. He's only done it half-ass. Even last season before the injury was better. on that end of the floor. And it's hard because he's not been able to build any communication and chemistry with some of these defenders, and they're not good defenders. He's literally one of the best defenders, and he's not guarding relevant players. He has to stay off the ball because he has to concern himself with that offensive end. That's been his MO for the last 7 years, maybe even longer, 8 years. But they need better on-ball defenders. They don't have that. And Westbrook needs to be better if that's going to be the case, because without AD, they cannot guard. Another game of a team scoring 120-plus points. Patty Mills, 34 points tonight. That's a role player, a great one of the best role players of this era, 34 points, 11 of 17 from the field and 8 of 13 from three. Bruce Brown, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 of 9 from the field, 4 of 4 from the foul line. 22 of 27 from the foul line for the Nets. So they made good use of it, and they shot 14 of 32 from three. That's 44%, mainly because of Patty Mills. And then the Lakers, LeBron, 14 of 25, 56%. A really good offensive game for him. 39 points, 9 boards, 7 assists. He really tried to take over. He was +9. He was the only Laker in the starting lineup in the plus category and plus minus. Dwight Howard only played 6 minutes. I totally disagreed with that. I thought that when LeBron was out, Dwight should have played. You never know. If Dwight was in, I don't know if they would have gotten scored on the same way they did in the last couple of minutes of that third quarter, and they could have been able to come back in the game had that deficit not been so big. So I really disagree with that, going small against this Nets team, because the Lakers don't have switch everything personnel. They don't guard the ball well enough. Westbrook still got a triple-double with 13, 12, and 11. And only 3 turnovers, but 4 of 20 from the field didn't cut it, especially considering a lot of his misses were easy. And then Wade Ellington, another game for him where he was poor because he didn't make shots in the beginning and his defense was just weak. I've figured it out with him. He has nothing if he's not making threes. He has no off-the-bounce game. He looks uncomfortable doing anything outside of shooting threes on the move. And his defense suffers when he doesn't score. So 3 points for him, only 14 minutes. Horton Tucker was better. 14 points, 5 of 11, 30 minutes. If you get double figures from THT, that's good enough. Melo was also good enough, in my opinion. He was +10, higher than even LeBron in the plus minus, the highest of any Laker. 17 points and 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. He still made some defensive errors, but he gave them some scoring lift off the bench, 6 of 15. And then Monk, 20 points on 8 of 13 and 3 of 7 from 3. He was good, and his defensive effort was better, but it still wasn't enough. And the Lakers drop to 16 and 18. That's their 5th consecutive loss. The Nets move on to 22 and 9. My player of the game, even though Patty Mills had a night, was honestly Harden, just because he created so much. But let's move on to the Suns and the Warriors, which is the primetime matchup. These two teams clearly stick out for me as the best in the league right now. And I think that you can just see the way that the Warriors play, the way that they move the ball, the way that they defend. And you have to give so much credit to Steve Kerr. For so many years, we talked about, his team is too good. He doesn't have to coach because his team is so good. So naive. People that know basketball and, I've played at any level, I feel like, can see when a team is well coached and when they're not. And they are extremely well coached, because they all know what they want to do on defense. They know exactly their coverages of what they need to do on screen and rolls with different guys. If it's Chris Paul, let's trap. Let's make sure we step up and don't give him that right elbow jumper. Let's make sure we hedge hard and recover and get that next rotation ready. They know exactly what they want to do. They know which pick and rolls to switch. They're very intelligent about the way that they load up on certain guys. And offensively, they all move. They all set screens. Like Looney was setting some great screens today. They've got guys coming up, pin downs on either side sometimes, and they have Steph Curry, who gets all the attention in the world. And it's been an unbelievable job by Kerr this year with this personnel, similar to last year. You look at today, the most impressive part about it, no Wiggins, no Poole. Their second and third best scorers weren't there, and they still were outplaying this Suns team with the full lineup that the Suns have. The only players that I can think of that weren't playing tonight was Frank Kaminsky. Everyone else was the legit players. They had that same starting lineup that they made it to the championship with. And the Warriors outplayed them. Draymond Green starting out the game with a 3-ball, 2 of 4 from 3 in the game for Draymond. Steph Curry sometimes gets a little bit too much leniency by the refs with that little step back where he takes extra steps. I don't know when that move became legal. I think like mid-2010s, 2015 or something. But it's traveling to me, but it's part of basketball now, I guess. But Steph's gravity, it's so much attention that he attracts. Gary Payton Jr. was really impressing me today. Looked like he's grown in confidence from even the Clipper game I talked about a couple of weeks ago. He is got that same hunger as his dad. He's got more athleticism. He's not as skilled on the ball, but he's got that same hunger and he can be like a Glove Jr. 6 of 9 for him tonight. 2 of 4 from 3. 14 and 8 for him. So extremely impressive performance. But the Suns hung around. I thought that the reason why the Suns really couldn't get super going today, though, was Devin Booker. He just didn't have a good shooting game at all. 5 of 19 from the field and 1 of 5 from 3. And you got to give the Warriors credit for their defense, but I think that he definitely just didn't have a good game. Chris Paul was okay. I think that the Warriors did a good job trapping him as the game went on, and the rotations are just sharp. Just very sharp. The Suns had a good second quarter, though, took the lead, and at the end of the game, it was really the Otto Porter show. So impressive. The way he came off pin downs, turned and shot off the catch on the move from 18 feet, came off a curl at the top, the JJ Redick style left to right curl, hitting the three, and then coming off and like hitting a sidestep, step back fader. Otto Porter closing the game is just not what I expected. And you've got to give the Warriors credit again, just how everyone has come in and bought in. They've come in, they let, Juan Toscano Anderson. He doesn't have too much talent, but he plays hard. He knows where he needs to be. This team moves the ball. They make you work on defense. And that's why I am saying today, guys, if Klay Thompson's even close to what he used to be, I think the Warriors got this year. I think it's going to be their championship because I really think they just play the right way. And I think that these two teams, the reason why they stand out amongst the modern NBA is because they're smarter than everyone else. A lot of teams today are just dumb. They chuck themselves out of the game. They have no inside outside. They neglect the mid-range. They don't move without the ball. These guys move without the ball. They pay attention to defense, both teams, and that's why I think they stand out among this modern NBA. Their IQs are above, and the Warriors fall into that category. And Draymond Green, he sets the guys in their back doors and their cuts and everything. And I think Kuminga was another guy today, really impressed me with his length, his defense, his ball denial. They put length on Chris Paul, and it was affecting him. We know what happens with Chris Paul now. He doesn't have that same burst to shift guys and create space like he used to. He still had 21 points, 6 boards, 8 assists, had a better game than Booker, who only had 13 points on 5 of 19. And Jay Crowder also didn't shoot well either, 3 of 11 from the field and 2 of 8 from 3. But the Warriors, you just really got to hand it to the way that they played throughout the game and their defense. And 32-23 in that fourth quarter. Kuminga, very underrated player, guys. Look at him as we go on this season. He could play a big part in this title charge by the Warriors, who move into first in the Western Conference with that win at 27-6. The Suns at 26-6. But by the way, shout out to Giannis for an incredible block tonight against the Celtics. Jason Tatum was scared there, and passed the ball to Robert Williams. An amazing 2-on-1 defensive sequence by Giannis to make that block. And then Jaylen Brown had a good look before that, and he just didn't get it to fall. But a good win for the Bucks. And so thanks so much for joining me, guys. Wish you guys a Merry Christmas. Make sure to comment on the YouTube video. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 or a dime. Appreciate all the love. Make sure to leave a comment. Let's get back in the favor of those algorithms. We got to keep fighting, guys. Keep fighting it. And I'll catch you guys. I think I'm going. By the way, I got offered a free ticket to the game tomorrow, so a new vlog will be coming. The first Clipper game at the Crypto.com arena name. I will be going, and I haven't seen the Nuggets play since Ty Lawson in the 2012 playoffs. And peace. Since Ty Lawson in the 2012 playoffs. Peace out, and now we go to the live subscribers waiting so patiently in the chat. Sorry, guys. I had a malfunction there. What up, y'all? What is up? What is up? What is up? Crypto.com in your cup. Such a quiet night, but it's Christmas, so you ain't know it. You're gonna miss this. What's up, y'all? And it's raining really hard. Jesus, man. What's up, Jordan Francis? My laptop's charged. Don't worry. Laker fans agreeing it's mostly Russ to blame. On point about the Warriors, but you lagged when talking about Draymond. Damn. You're right, Gabrielle. They really do have a lot of effort. Joey Sixpack asks, is Jokic underrated, overrated, perfectly rated? Jokic is he's rated, perfectly rated. Oh, I forgot to talk about Paul George. Thoughts on PG, and you think you'll make playoffs or it's done. It's really sad what happened to Paul. Classic Clippers injury prone stars, but I think if we can stay within the top 10 by the time he comes back, if he comes back this season, which he should, then we have a chance to make the playoffs. But I think we're done in terms of top 6 seeds, definitely. Web Boomer says, great Christmas present, Lakers lose. Scipio says, Lakers doing another 06. I wouldn't say it's 06 because 06 they didn't have the talent. This team actually has stars. Gabrielle says, think the Clippers will finish higher seed than Lakers? No, I don't. Not What Like I'm Book says, what's up, Dime? What's up? What Like I'm Book? He says, what you do for Christmas? Just watch some games. Yeah, we canceled our Christmas party with the family because some people had COVID contact tracing or whatnot. What I do for Christmas, get drunk and watch The Grinch? No, I didn't do that. Andrew M says, do you honestly think the Lakers could turn this around? Yeah. Not winning the championship, though, I don't think. What I get for Christmas? Nothing. Some money, like $50 so far. I didn't get anything. What about you? Fred Boomer says, with Golden State Warriors probably winning West, how do you think they match up against Bucks or Nets? Two most likely to win the East. I think that they match up. I think it's tough with the Nets. I think the Warriors would beat them for sure. Without Kyrie Irving. Bucks, I don't know. I haven't watched their games. I haven't really thought about the matchup. I think the Warriors have enough guys. I think the Warriors will win. Who's better in their sport, LeBron or Ronaldo? I actually think LeBron's better. I respect Ronaldo's drive and mentality more, though. I think that they both have a lot of drive and they both put in a ton of their body, and they're both like the exception of athletes that have been able to be so good for so long. I think they're both extremely egotistical. I think Ronaldo is more serious about winning. I think he's more serious about winning. I think LeBron is sometimes he's okay with doing what he did tonight, scoring a lot, and they lose. More okay than others. Not saying he's okay with it. Of course he's pissed. But damn, the 2015 Cavs were 19 and 20 at one point. But that's because they made the trade. Yeah, for Smith, Shumpert, and Mozgov. Yeah. Top 3 favorite Clipper jerseys of all time. I love the Los Angeles cursive red road that we had during Lob City and the blue alternate we had during 14 and 15. I love those jerseys. And then I also love the red road cursive from the 2000s era and the blue alternate, the Elton Brand one I have. All right, y'all. It's a quiet night, so I'm gonna let y'all Christmas go. 2021 Giannis or 2012 Braun? 2012 Braun. 2012 Braun. Better jump shot, more skilled offensively. Giannis better defender though. LeBron better passer. Played against better teams. All right, guys. I'll catch you. If Leonard and George are both healthy next season, do you expect Clips to win? And would you be if they lost, would you be mad? I would expect us to win. What team would be great for Simmons? The Portland Trailblazers, Lake Show. What shaving cream do I use? All right, guys, I'm out. Peace.